And we're going to start with the quarterback because that's where we start basically every Monday show with. Our Shedeur topic today brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets. FanDuel, the game moves fast. And so can you. Dustin, what'd you think of Shedeur Sanders' performance against the Chicago Bears? The offense did not look good. This is coming on the heels of his best start yet of his young career against Tennessee, but he appeared to take a step back this week. What say you about Shedeur?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was pretty apparent that he took a step back. I expected it to happen. I didn't know that it would quite be this bad. Not all his fault. Obviously, I mean, he's being put into a situation against a really talented team on the road. Didn't get a lot of help, throughout the day by his offensive line, by the receivers. And again, I mean, he holds the ball way too long. He made some errors in this game. Looked a little overmatched at times. Just he looked like a rookie the entire day, and that's to be expected. I think it wasn't me. I didn't get my hopes up that he was going to play like he did against Tennessee against the Bears. I thought he'd play better than he did against the Bears, though. I thought he would play a little bit better. Do you think, guys? I mean, it was a pretty. We were excited after the Titans game for what he showed, and in this performance, I think we're left feeling completely the opposite of how we felt against Tennessee. And we're like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. This guy looks like he could be the future. And now if you're sitting here today, and if that was your only, if you didn't have the Titans game in the back of your memory bank, you'd be like, man, this guy can't play.
Well, thankfully for him, we do.
We do.
And he's still going to get the rest of the season. He's going to get 3 starts. I know we're going to talk about this later as we parse out blame. I have been saying really from the beginning of the season, how are we going to evaluate these quarterbacks? How does that work when you've got the worst offensive line in the game and the worst wide receiving core in the game? It's not fair. It wasn't fair to Dylan Gabriel. It's definitely not fair to Shedeur Sanders. But I'll say this, if you watch the whole game and you take the emotion out of it, and that's really hard for me to do, I get my mood swings during these games are unhealthy. Watching Cleveland Browns football for me is an unhealthy activity. I'm 60, gentlemen. I bet a doctor would tell me you'd be better off to shovel your entire driveway and all your sidewalks before you should sit down and watch the Cleveland Browns play.
The leading cause of death on this planet is stress.
Stress. And the only stress I have in my life, is related to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, dude, let him go,
and
man.
I know it's pathetic.
Let him go. Or try to care a little bit less.
I'm 60. I wanted to win. I wanted to see the Browns win a championship in the worst way. I really did. But this organization is so dysfunctional, has such a culture of losing, that we can't even accurately judge what we have at the most important position in the sport because the surrounding cast is garbage, and there's no other way to say it. I saw some things from Shedeur Sanders yesterday that really get me excited. His deep ball, his touch on the deep ball. There are veteran quarterbacks in this league that don't have that kind of accuracy and touch on the deep ball. Now, I know he missed some. It was windy, but I brought Jeff George up on this show a couple of weeks, maybe last week. I'm probably the only one that really remembers watching him play. You remember Jeff
Colts,
George?
I remember him with the Colts.
I remember him with the Falcons.
Falcons, too.
Jeff George had an intoxicating quality. And that intoxicating quality was he had a $10 million arm. For my money, it's the strongest, purest arm I've ever seen in the NFL. And that's saying something because Randall Cunningham could sling it. But this dude could stand flat-footed and throw it 75 yards without breaking a sweat. He just had a great arm. It was all the other stuff that goes into playing quarterback that Jeff didn't have. And I would love to know if Shedeur has some of that. I give him passing grades on the way he has maneuvered through the pocket since his week 1 start was atrocious. He was running south. Now he's trying to escape the pocket, and sometimes with great success. It doesn't always work, but I've seen improvement there. I'd like to see improvement in other areas, but I counted 2 dropbacks yesterday where he had all kinds of time, plenty of time. Everything else, he's got someone in his face as soon as he gets to his spot. So we can't evaluate what we have at the most important position in the sport. And because of that, it feels like we're just spinning our wheels. Did he take a step back? Yeah, if you look at the numbers and you watch the play, that wasn't close to the guy that we saw against Tennessee. I said all week, don't expect that. He's going up against a much better defense. Somewhere between Tennessee and Chicago is where Shedeur Sanders lives. Somewhere between those 2 performances. It's up to this organization to put enough winning parts around him so we can really see what we have. Because right now, I'm no closer to knowing the answer to that than I was on August 1st. I don't know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you probably won't know after the next 3 weeks.
No, what are they going to do? Rebuild the offensive line?
Yeah,
grab some good wide receivers?
It's not going to get any easier, and I think we saw a little bit on Sunday was some guys that, guys start to check out a little bit, on the season.
I like Isaiah Bond a lot.
It was the first time, Dustin, I got that hit me where it was the first time with Kevin where I thought guys was calling their girls up like, hey, is it Cancun, Tahiti, Bahamas?
Where are we going?
Like, here's the thing. You and I joke about this, and the 1, 2, 3 Cancun thing is really funny. But, I mean, there were times in games as a player, you're on a team, when you're thinking about where you're going to go to eat after the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're thinking about, like, okay, mom's here.
Yeah, okay.
The old lady's here. We got, grandma's going to, okay, so we got to make a reservation for
Yeah, my aunt.
You're thinking about this during the game.
Ruby Tuesday sounds good. I got the salad bar. I like that, man. You know what? I'm going to see what I'm going to work on the offseason. I'm going to think of doing a little more speed training.
And these are the thoughts that are going through your head on the field.
And when I saw the game, it was crazy because when I seen the forecast, I knew what type of time we was because me, you, and Tyvus was laughing. I said, man, you start going out there and you got to tackle somebody and it's -5, -10. It automatically eliminates half your roster. It's hard to go out there and play well when you got something to play for. Given the fact that they was 9-4, they lost last week, they're at home. I said, oh, this is about to be a nightmare. And then you start seeing them run the football and you start to see guys are getting 5 a pop, 6 a pop. Now all of a sudden, you got safeties. Guys are getting to the safeties levels, and it's like, oh, if the safeties is getting blocked, if their linemen are there, guys that have made a business decision. But in terms of, we'll get to this thing. I don't think when I look at Shedeur Sanders, I don't think he played a good game. I don't think he played a good game. I'll break it down football wise. I thought 2 throws, the 2 interceptions. One of the interceptions, they were running play action. He kind of stared down Harold Fannin. And the linebacker did a really good job of just being like, oh, yeah.
He disguised himself well.
He was like, yeah, I'm biting on the run. Psych, I'm dropping right back into this hook zone. And usually what that happens when you're running play action, you're selling a hard run action, and you're hoping that guys bite. But when you're running for 20-some yards, I mean, the run game is non-existent. They're not biting on that. They'll rally to that and make the tackle. So I thought that he got fooled on that play. And they did a good job of disguising that. The second one, later in the game, I thought that he threw a pass. It was a corner route to Harold Fannin Jr. And I believe they were in cover 2. And I think the corner did a really good job of carrying that. And he kind of baited him because he carried it late. And I think he threw the ball. If he would have threw it a half second earlier, it would have hit him and he would have been cool. I thought he also put a little too much air in it and floated in the wind. And it got intercepted. So that was two bad interceptions. I think that was on him. The third interception to Jerry Jeudy, I thought that was one of the best balls he's thrown since he's been playing.
Best in the NFL. Best since he's been in the
NFL. That was a 50-50 ball to a receiver, giving him an opportunity. He couldn't have took the ball and handed it to him better. Hit him in the chest, and Jerry Jeudy let the Big Mac sauce slide all down his face into the on-gummy hams of the Big Mac sauce. And I was so excited. I'm like, yo, that's a throw. And I'm like, what?
When they said interception, I'm like, what are they looking at? That's a touchdown.
That's a touchdown. And then Jerry Jeudy got up without the football, and I said, oh, this is wild work. I think that I will point to one thing I do say with you, Jay, is when I'm looking at it, it's very difficult to evaluate a quarterback when you have an offensive line, and we'll talk about the fact that he's been a leading rusher the last 2 weeks against the Titans. If your quarterback is the leading rusher, and those weren't design runs, those were scrambles. If you're doing that, you're not winning a football game. I don't care who you got at quarterback. But there are three things that I saw.
Well, Josh Kelly can do that for his team.
Yeah,
but they've got Cook, who typically is up near 100 yards anyhow.
Yeah. Josh Allen. Josh Allen can get that off.
Jim Kelly?
Merge the two.
That'd be great. Josh Kelly is
Ernest
elite.
Mack.
That boy did that. Ross Tucker did that a couple weeks ago.
What I'm looking for in a quarterback, and it's difficult when your surrounding cast and receivers ain't there. What I'm trying to find is this. I need to see plays that I can extrapolate and say, if I put this kid and bolster the offense, bolster the pieces around him, do I have something there? And I think there's 2 or 3 times a game where he does things where you're like, wow. Isaiah Bond, the fact that he's catching deep balls. I mean, the one deep ball he threw, it was beautiful. It had touch on it. He got hit in the pocket.
I thought both deep balls were.
Both of them were.
He did miss one on a deep ball where Bond was actually open, but he was going into the wind.
Yeah, it's like he kind of lost it, or the wind caught it and kind of.
But not every quarterback has that gift.
He threw those two. I said, wow, that was the Jared Judy throw. I thought was great. But so for us, the evaluation is going to be, does he have enough? Does he have the raw material that we can shape and mold and figure out if we build our infrastructure, can he be somebody? And that's the goal of these exercises in these games. Like you said, he's not going to throw for 300 every yard. Up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what rookies do, especially in their fourth start. But, I just come out and say it. Shedeur Sanders would say he didn't play well last game. And so that's okay. You're a rookie. You're not going to play well every game. But what you want to see is improvement in the areas that you are weak at, or the improvement in the areas that you're struggling with. And that's what the next 3 weeks is for.
Dustin, I wanted to ask you, Jay mentioned he thought it was impossible to evaluate Shedeur and some of the other guys because the offensive line was so bad. How much of Shedeur's struggles do you put on the fact that the offensive line was starting 4 backups yesterday? Or do you think that group actually held up enough to give him some opportunities? How do you kind of parse that out?
No, it's probably impossible to say how fair it is to assess him based on who's playing up there on the offensive line. It's not helping him, put it that way. I think the hardest part about assessing him is, the fact that he's going to be running this offense, this lame duck offense for the next 3 weeks, when we don't know what he's going to be running next year.
Right.
It's going to be a completely different roster. I'm assuming that they're going to wipe out the coaching staff. I don't know how they survive this. Jimmy Haslam said before the season began, the 3 wins is not good enough. It's not acceptable. So they'll probably have a new staff, and Shedeur's going to have to learn a new offense. So for me, I just want to see him like the fundamentals. I'm looking at footwork. I'm looking at him trying to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. Trying to get through his progressions, like those things. Take care of the ball, like not forcing throws. Those are the areas where I just want to see him improve the final 3 games, because he's going to face pretty good competition.
Well, the first 2 are it's playoffs for them,
playoff guys,
for the Bills and the Steelers.
Yeah.
It might as well be playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. And you have a chance to play spoiler against those teams.
Yeah.
Against two talented teams in Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So
I thought, and I know the defense was back on their heels, but. And he did it in the fourth quarter against Tennessee as well. So it's hard to say if he can run that successfully and make it work. But in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games, he's had, I know they didn't score a touchdown, but it was a touchdown-worthy drive. And everything on those drives was short underneath, quick, short, 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 short. I know we got sick of that with Dillon Gabriel, but guys, when you look at how we're built, like we're not built to give our quarterback 4 and 5 seconds to throw the deep ball. And I know it's not exciting, but maybe for the next 3 weeks with nothing on the line, what are we playing for? Absolutely nothing. Wins actually are detrimental to this team. With nothing to play for, let's give him the offense that he ran for the 3 touchdown drives. I know he only scored on 2 of them, but the drives that were length of the field drives, 2 at the end of the game at Tennessee and the one yesterday late in the game. he moved the ball. He looked confident in rhythm. I like seeing him in rhythm, quick, and I know if you take the deep game away, you help the defense because it's not going to be long before they realize, they're not going to take any deep shots. But I'd like to see if he can manage that offense efficiently in the first, second, and third quarters when defenses aren't way back. You know what I mean?
I just want it
I do.
This is a problem with the Browns offense. When you watch it on film, it seems disjointed because they routinely have a lot of guys in the same area. There's no spacing. And then there's times where there's not an available answer to the quarterback. So, I want to answer on a deep route. I want something intermediate. I want something short, and then I want something that's called, if all hell breaks loose, this is what you need to do. Maybe that's a quick swing to the back. There's times where it's like there's these 1 or 2 route answers that we have, and then one of them is a deep post, and another one is a 15-yard dig, and we're like, hey guys, it's winter. It's winter, and it's the first quarter. Why are we running a 20-yard post and a 15-yard dig, and there's no other answers if you get pressure quickly? So then you at least you hold the ball and trying to find something in this disjointed. To your point, Jay, somebody texted me. I was doing a watch party. Somebody chatted. They said, "Do we have any slant routes?" And I said, "I haven't seen a slant route in 4 or 5 weeks. I haven't seen it's like when you watch the other teams and you go and watch other teams, and when they get back to their third step, like the Bears, you just go to their sideline. They ran a master class. Ben Johnson ran a master class in play action here. Look at the target distribution. I got Kmet over here. I got Loveland throwing the ball to him. Burton's going to catch it on the outside. Moore is going to do his thing. We got 2 running. Everything was something that was layered on top of everything.
Hey, man, they got playmakers all
everywhere.
And they're missing a big wide receiver yesterday.
And Roman Dunze wasn't playing. Right. I said,
they got Monungai and Swift.
And Swift. And I'm like, guys, it just dawned on me. It hurt my heart because I was like, we don't have any of that. That was easy for them. Those guys were just picking to see which guys were going to carve us up. And we got Harold Fannin. I love Harold Fannin to death. But you can't have your tight end with 14 targets.
Yeah.
And the rest of your receivers are.
Well, it's clear that he feels really comfortable with Fannin as a relief valve. And he's a good guy to feel comfortable with, but he's a tight end. And
he had 14 targets last year.
He shouldn't have 14 targets ever.
Bowling Green targeted 14 times.
20
and
times.
They should have.
Because he's all that they had in Bowling Green.
He was kind of like TE/WR there.
Yes.
Which is why he shouldn't be targeted 14 times as a rookie in the NFL.
No, that should never happen. And I wonder, I don't know what the answer to this is. To be honest with you, I haven't noticed that they've taken the slant out of the playbook. Is that, you think, a product of they don't feel comfortable with Shedeur throwing that over the middle slant yet?
I don't know.
Because 4 or 5 weeks is how long he's been in there.
I don't know.
And if you haven't seen one in that time, that's kind of telling.
I don't know. And here's another thing that hits me. I watched it, and this hit me like a year and a half ago. I was looking around and said, why can't the Browns run the ball? And so I was watching the film and breaking it down, and I'm like, it got to a point where I kept saying that every single time that they would block and try to get to the next level, there would be always somebody coming free. And I said, man, guys are getting hit in the backfield. This year is accelerated. Every single time Quinshawn touches the ball, he is hit behind the line of scrimmage because they don't know on an assignment who to block. They seriously don't. The foundation of offensive line play, and this is tough because offensive line play, we don't watch it. But every single...
Unless it's bad, you notice it.
Yes, you notice it. Every single play as an offensive lineman, your assignment changes based upon where the defensive line and linebackers move. So, yes, if that guy is sitting right here, you block him. But if he moves and he goes A-gap or B-gap, your assignment changes.
Yeah.
And then the next guy has to know whether or not he's going to take that guy. And so your assignment, those guys have to be... Offensive linemen are pretty much the smartest people on your team. A lot of people don't know that. They change their assignments of who they get and who they need to block every single play based on what the defense gives them. And the problem with the Browns is up front, they either have guys that are not athletic enough or strong enough to complete their assignment, which is to block the guy or cut him off, or they have guys that don't know who to block. And when you lead, that leads to the 24-yard stuff.
How many new guys do we have in there?
Five guys?
Four new starters.
And you got to your point, and you played offensive line, so you know better than anybody. When you're trying to make those adjustments up front, and you're literally every play, you're identifying, the mic back or here, and you know where maybe pressure's coming from, and you may be talking to your teammates up front or on the line, trying to communicate them things. Well, guess what? It's easy when it's been Posick and Batonio.
Yeah, right.
Hey, all year.
It's an orchestra.
But you're right.
And you take one piece out, and that orchestra changes. Now take 4 pieces out.
100%. So there's no longer a string there that they're playing on, and there's no trust.
Yeah, right.
And there's really not a lot of compatibility.
I remember when Bill Callahan left before the next season, I had said my biggest concern is how do we replace Bill Callahan? Our offensive line, guys, hasn't looked the same since he's left. And there's a reason why he was widely regarded as the best offensive line coach in the NFL. He went to coach with his son in Tennessee. His son gets fired. He gets fired. He's on the street. I think the first call I'd make this offseason is to Bill Callahan.
I got to tell you, man, offensive line coaches, they do the dirty work for teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're grimy. They're usually like old dudes who've been around the block, and they're not the best like head coaches. They're not good play callers typically. But you know what they can do? They can get these suckers lined up, and they can get the most out of them.
Yeah. And he could do that.
It's one of those. Yeah, they remind me of like on you know what I'm saying, like you go back and my grandfather used to work in a factory, and some of these machines is pre-World War I, World War II machines, right? And the guys who made the machine are long gone. The company that made the machine,
there ain't
no more parts. So you got
more warranties.
No more warranties. So you got an old dude named Carl, and Carl been here for 45 years. Carl, they tell you, don't touch the machine. If the machine go down, you call Carl. He on call, and he come in there, and he come in half asleep. He might be half drunk, smoking a cigarette. You know you ain't allowed smoking no cigarettes in the facility. Carl come in there drunk, and he say, yeah, what we need, give me 3 shovels, some Band-Aids, and give me some roller bearings over there, and hurry up. You guys are taking too long. We got to get this machine back up. And Carl comes in 15, 20 minutes, puts it together, and here you go. He don't tell you what happened. He don't tell you how he did it. Carl just get up, go back home, and then come back for this next shift in the morning.
And he's got great job security.
And he's
the only one that knows.
They tell, hey, HR, hey, listen, leave Carl alone. The HR, he says, and he cuss like a sailor.
Carl's allowed to smoke.
Carl's allowed to smoke. He allowed to do whatever. But those are the offensive line coaches. Remember, what's the guy that was the offensive line coach for the Patriots for like 100 years?
Skarnecki.
He quit. He was done. They was running the ball bad for about a half year. They called him up and said, come on back. He came back and got his job. It's the same. It's the same with the Bill Callahans. Offensive line coaches is them type players and them type coaches, and it's a lost art. It's a lost art.
You typically you don't notice them, but you see the bad ones, and you appreciate the good ones.
You be like, man, if we just had Bill back. Bill! Hey, listen, forget if they call you. I'm going to call you Bill. Listen, we need the Browns to be good. Jay is threatening to retire tomorrow.
I'm on the edge, bro.
He's on the edge. Come on back and give us a solid running game. We don't need 220 a game. Give us 115. You give us 115.
Wouldn't that look good right now?
Oh, 115? We take it. That's all we want.
You know what kills my heart, too? Like early in the year, Travion Henderson wasn't at it. I wasn't relishing in the fact that he wasn't doing well. But I wanted to draft Henderson.
I am now.
And I remember Jason said, nope, Judkins is going to be the better back. And then early on, I'm like, man, I was wrong on that, Jay. You were right, Judkins. But now, Henderson, who busted another one yesterday, Henderson has passed him in yardage for the season, and he was benched for a while.
Yeah, about that.
He was on the doghouse.
And it's just like, you want to see this. I think there's something to Judkins. I do. I don't think this is the kind of back he is. But when you're running and your first contact is behind the line of scrimmage,
it's hard.
What are you going to do?
It's hard. It's frustrating.
You're not going to.
I'm waiting for the numbers to come out on it. They usually come out around 2 o'clock today. My eye test told me on his 12 carries, he was hit behind the line of scrimmage on 7 of the 12.
I bet he was.
More than 50% of the time he was hit behind the line of scrimmage.
What do you have, 20 yards?
21 yards on 12 carries.
Oh, my
Just not
God.
good enough for a back who we've seen be able to turn nothing into something at times.
Yeah.
Other times, when the offensive line is playing as poorly as it did yesterday, particularly in the run blocking regard, ugly results.